friends, I'm Larsen and I'm the IRC Tire Guy. Today we are continuing your viewer submissions. The first episode went great. I'm very happy with the submissions that you guys have been sending me on Instagram and Facebook at RichLarsen511. Keep them coming. I hope to keep this series going as I continue to heal from the femur break. I'm feeling awesome, guys. I'm coming along great. And I say we jump right into it with a submission from a guy named Don Conrad. This is him on his KTM doing some unstuck and double blip technique. Let's break it down and see what we can make better. Here we go. Sounds like a KTM 150. So already, like, this part of the technique is something that's so underrated. He's getting set up, ready to practice that unstuck. You see him kind of move his weight back. He's in good position. Holding the bike in one position on an incline is so challenging. And looking at this, it's a slight uphill, 14-inch log. It is key to be able to hold that steady RPM and steady slip of clutch and throttle together. I personally use my front brake. I'm actually slipping into the front brake. That loads the suspension. I can't quite tell here. Kind of looks like he's on the rear, but I think he might be on the front, just kind of judging from where his foot is. It almost looks like it's off the brake. So I think he's using his front brake. Personally, I prefer the front. Be able to do it both ways. I see a lot of riders put their front tire on a log. First, they struggle to keep it in one place. That means they're not really precise with throttle and clutch. And they also don't have that ability to modulate throttle and front brake at the same time. If you're having trouble with that, try to re-grip a little bit forward. That will allow you to reach that front brake. Even just holding the bike in position on an obstacle is a challenging piece that I think is super underrated. So he's got his hips back. He's ready to go. He's going to do the unstuck. Hips back. Bottom pegs drive. That was actually pretty dang good timing. On that one, he stood up, drove forward. He's staying kind of low to the bike, which is okay in some situations. I would say the aggression within throttle and clutch needs to be upped just a little bit. His timing was good. Most of the time we see riders being a little bit early with their clutch release. So they start their drive, they get about halfway forward, then they release the clutch. He sent me about 3 or 4 of these. So let's watch and see what the next one looks like. Hips back. See, that one was good. Again, I think the aggression was better on that one with the throttle and clutch. I think him focusing a little harder on standing up heavy. Think of it like you're stepping up a step. That left leg that he's got on the ground should jump off the ground, pressing through the peg, getting above the bike. That way you have the ability to allow the bike to come out from under you. Let's watch this next one. He's got about 2 or 3 more here. Hips back. See, that one right there was early, and you can see he kind of struggled to get up that obstacle. He was early on his clutch release. Wait as long as you can. That one was better. He's still a little slow with the movement forward. That was much better timing there. So we watched those last 3 there. The previous ones, I would say he was a little bit early on the clutch release, which is a common mistake. The other thing I'm going to say is we need to see aggression with the movement. So jumping off the ground, getting above the bike, driving your weight as hard as you can forward to then be able to move back. Think of it like you're putting your body where the bike is going to be. So you're trying to get your weight all the way forward, all the way to the top of the obstacle, essentially. Then you release the clutch and let the bike come out from under you. And it's the same on a double whip. It's that same movement. The key understanding here is the aggression in that movement to counteract the aggression with the release of the clutch. So as you can see here, this is an uphill. We got about a 14-inch log. The higher the front tire is, the more of a disadvantage you are at. So the higher the front tire is, the harder and harder and harder it gets until you can't overcome that disadvantage. So if you understand that there is that disadvantage there, it's all in the aggression in your movement. Drive that weight as hard as you can, get all the way forward, then release that clutch to let the bike come out from under you. That last one, he had good aggression. Let's watch it again. Good aggression with movement, good aggression with the release of the clutch. I will say though, you see how he's kind of bent all the way through? Isolate that right leg. jump off the ground, isolate your right leg, step through the peg, get above the bike. That creates more space for you to then be able to drive your hips back to hold traction over the top. More aggression, more movement. I love the fact that he sent me multiple videos. I mean, he was probably out there for an hour filming himself, trying to get better. That's what it takes. I love seeing it. Now, he threw a couple double blips in. Let's watch him. Pretty solid. You can hear it's one blip. So one thing I will say is learning how to separate those two blips, two distinct two blips, will increase the ability for you to hold traction, right? Because you're not creating so much of a load by holding the throttle on the whole time. That will allow you to hold traction over the top. Also, separating the two blips allows for more suspension compression and rebound, and I think a higher ability to kind of initiate movement. Again, double blips and any obstacle is all about movement back and forth. We need to be flowing on the machine. And if you watch here, he's getting some good movement. He's driving through it, but on just about all of these, yeah, especially that one right there, he's almost grazing the top of the obstacle with the front tire. And this is a key piece for your double blip approach. You have to have that front tire drive into the obstacle. Create suspension compression. Also, create the hindrance and motion to allow you to get forward, to then be able to drive the hips back and hold traction over the top, just like the Unstuck technique. The key piece is the drive into the obstacle, the placement of the front tire. So that first blip is very important. Couple things you can do to increase your ability with hitting that front tire on the obstacle is lifting your front tire earlier. If you notice here, he's lifting at about a foot before the obstacle. Every time, about a foot before the obstacle. I would say, and see, we've missed it again. Each time we're seeing kind of a light touch of the front tire. We're not getting a lot of suspension compression and rebound. We're kind of getting that kick forward. And that kick forward is created by missing the front tire. Whenever you get that front tire hit, that hinders that machine's motion, allows you to get in front of the machine, and then you can create that second load to drive you over. So lifting the front tire a little bit earlier will allow you to place that front tire a little bit easier on the obstacle. I always say, you know, the earlier you can lift to an extent, the more time you have in between the two blips. So this will also help you separate the two blips. The further away from the obstacle you lift that front tire, the longer you have to create the second load, the longer you have to find that right placement on the obstacle, the longer you have to separate the two blips. There's quite a few advantages to lifting the front tire earlier. So a little earlier on your lift, make sure you're getting that front tire placement. Again, if you can separate those two blips, that will assist you quite a bit in holding traction over the top. Great practice though, honestly, Don, this is awesome. I love the fact that he sent these in. I know I said that, but this is what it takes, guys. It takes constant obsession. And you can see, even those ones he's lifting a little earlier here. That was later. And every time he misses that front, it kicks him forward. And that's the key piece. If you don't get that hindrance in motion, you miss the front tire, just like we talked about in the last episode, it will kick you forward. So very nice practice, Don. Get that front tire up earlier. Try to separate those two blips. I love your Unstuck practice. Be more aggressive with that movement. This is all about movement and timing with throttle and clutch. You're doing an awesome job. That's what it takes. That's what I love to see. Let's move on to the next one. We've got Gavin Capelli maybe, on a Husky. Oh, this is a Silver Kings clip. Here we go. Coming into the matrix. Okay. A little stuck there. There's a lot. So, I mean, you've got to think. Kind of lets this guy by, goes into pivot turns over the logs. You've got to think this is a race, right? So you're already riding a little bit more tense. You know, who knows how many times he's gone through this section. He could be quite fatigued here. Matrix is, oh, and he goes down. Yeah, fatigue happens there towards the end. So let's talk about this. Obviously, this is during a race, so you're going to ride more tense. Maybe you've never experienced a matrix. A lot of guys that look, I mean, some of you watching this video may look at that section and think you could ride right through it. But I will tell you right now, the matrix section, the staggered, random sized logs is an extremely challenging Endurocross section that can be a huge separator. And the fact is Endurocross is a different sport. You know, I mean, there's a lot of similar techniques that go in to Endurocross, but a lot of it is very specific. Endurocross is a very specific sport. We've done a lot of videos on the matrix. Now, just watching here, let's watch the entry. Right off the bat, boom, we see another kind of graze of the front tire over the top of the obstacle. Placing your front tire harder on the obstacle, just like we were talking about in the previous double blip. As you enter this matrix, the harder you hit your front tire, the easier it's going to be for you to get it into the air and clear your linkage. And you can hear, boom, you hit your linkage. That linkage hit, which didn't unsettle you too bad, does put your body in a position of almost reaction. And in a matrix, it's all about being proactive. You have to be in front in all of your movement. I like how you got your front tire down quick, and this is a key piece for anybody out there that runs into a matrix section. The lower you can keep your front tire and the quicker you can put it on the ground, the less suspension compression and rebound you're gonna have as you move through the section. Think of it like it compounds. The higher your front tire gets, the more it's gonna compress, the more it's gonna rebound, and so on and so on and so on and so on. The deeper and deeper and deeper you get into the section, and it compounds until failure. So if you watch here, that second log was great. We've got about a 5 foot, 6 foot gap here as he goes into the third log. Okay, now you can see the third and fourth log is a 4 foot gap. That is smaller than a bike length. In this situation, I would have carried my front to the fourth log. And the thing about that is because it's a 4 foot gap, if you just kind of float your front tire, as soon as the rear tire hits the third log, your front tire would drop right on top of the fourth log, no matter what, because that's essentially a bike length. So it almost automatically does it if you carry it. That takes a little bit of confidence, a little bit of practice. Instead of trying to put it down, he puts it down, linkage hits. Ooh, and look at how far it threw his body weight forward. He's forward. Now he's a little bit out of shape. And see, this is the thing about the matrix. Once you start to get out of balance, it compounds even more. So he's a little bit to the right here. We have what looks like another 4 foot gap. Let's watch. So you can see, really, I think it started with the first log. As soon as your linkage hit, it kind of unsettled you. Then that 4 foot gap between the whatever, third and fourth logs or whatever, that was the one where if you could have carried your front tire to the next one, that's called tire tapping, where you're basically placing your front tire on each log. If you could have carried it there, it wouldn't have unsettled you. It would have kept the tires on the ground, would have avoided the linkage, maybe kept you in balance, and it wouldn't have compounded as we move forward here. Now you're kind of in that stuck position. Again, it's a race, so you try to hurry. In that situation, like I would, especially with a linkage bike, I would just pull it back so the front tire like goes up against the back end of the log and then sit back and give it a quick zap to get up and out. But again, you know, you're just kind of rushing. It's very hard to think when you're in the moment. Gets going forward here and then kind of lets the bike guy by. And again, it's through the rest of it, it's like you're kind of pivot turning, working your way through. I think it all has been dictated by the first section, right? So honestly, the thing about this is once again, I think anybody would look at this video and go, I could ride through that section. Now, truly, Gavin sent me another video here, and I just want you guys to see, Gavin's a good rider. So anybody out there that's never rode a matrix is looking at that going, I could do it. This dude, honestly, riding a little hard enduro here, nice little switchback, outside peg weight, good peg pressure, trying to stay above the bike as he moves through that section. Look at feet on, great balance, good clutch control as he pivots. Gavin is a good rider. So the matrix is, yeah, not to be underestimated. It's a challenging section. It takes practice. Endurocross is a very specific sport. It takes years of practice. Great job, Gavin. You know, focus on that front tire placement, learning the confidence to kind of float through the section, thinking about keeping the front tire as low as you can at all times. Keeping your bike on one plane the whole way through the section will assist you significantly in those matrix sections. A big piece is going to be practice. Gavin, you're a great rider, man. Keep at it. I love what I'm seeing. Let's move on. Our next one is from ZZ Stein. KTM here. We got a little section that he's got. Looks like a little Endurocross track. Nice little acceleration, deceleration position around the corner. All right, little splatter kind of. Right off the bat, let's talk about this. I love the fact that you're always in acceleration and deceleration position. And looking at this, that's like perfect, man. Head forward, heels drop, straight knee. Doing this all the time, it will create a habit, and then you'll just ride like that all the time. It'll take pressure off your hands. It'll put you in a better situation. It puts you in a better position to react. You've created space so you can move accordingly to the outside forces, whether that be the obstacle or the acceleration and deceleration forces on the machine. Great acceleration position. I love seeing that as just a practice. Also some nice phase gear. Deceleration. Okay, around this corner, I would say, you know, I can't tell, there's some bushes in the way. You know, this is a flat, hard packed corner. I would say, you know, maybe brake a little later and initiate a brake slide in that situation. I would also say lead a little more with your head. You can see you're kind of behind the bike as you come around the corner. Get that head in front of those bars, press on that outside peg. You know, we spoke about hard pack corners and some specifics that you can do. Leading with the head is a key piece, outside peg weight, you know, some aggression around that corner. Looking really good. Okay, this is the key piece. So decent little single log splatter. There's a couple things we can talk about here. I can't quite tell if you're thinking about maybe getting some pop. We can talk about both of those. So that log, it's a pretty big log, but you've got kind of a dirt backside, right? So in that situation, I would charge that corner, and I would probably do it pretty similar to how you do it, where you're just wheeling into it and allowing that front tire to come down. You're missing your front tire completely. If you're going to do it that way, I would say initiate your wheelie significantly earlier. So if you take a look at the difference between you and me, when I'm doing that same technique, I initiate my wheelie, 2 bike lengths before the log, whereas you're initiating it, maybe 2 or 3, maybe a bike length, less than a bike length before the log, right? So I would initiate it clear back there, you know, almost 2 bike lengths away from the log, to allow that front tire to get into the air and allow my body to come forward. Notice when your rear tire hits, your bike is steep, but if you compare it, I'm a little bit steeper. I'm straighter with my legs. That's a big piece. And I'm also reacting to the rear tire hit just slightly different than you. And this is a common mistake that I see. When riders hit a sharp bump that takes a lot of suspension compression rebound, shock rebound, they tend to want to absorb it with their knees by driving them forward. And if you look at your knees here, they actually go forward on that rear tire hit. Now, if you compare it to myself, I'm straight knee. I'm a little bit steeper on the front tire. Of course, I initiated that lift earlier. The steeper the front tire is, the slower the front tire is going to drop, because I'm almost like wheeling over the log. But also, notice my knees here. They never go forward in front of the toes. My hips drive straight back. Focusing on driving your hips straight back, not allowing your knees to come up, will assist you with creating space, slowing the front tire, and make it so it doesn't kick you so hard. You can kind of see it kind of kicks you forward or scans you back up. The straighter up you can get that bike, the straighter your knees are, and the more you allow the hips to come back, almost hinging the hips back to the rear fender, the more success you're gonna have. Now, if you're looking for a little bit of lift there, again, I would initiate it early, not quite as early as I did with the wheelie. You're gonna need a bigger load of power and a heavy force into the ground. We're almost preloading, big load of power, reduction and release of throttle. You have to be very aggressive with your clutch release and rebound of suspension to get that lift off the ground. Those top guys can do that really, really well. It takes a lot of practice. That's a great log to practice it on. It's a safe one. More power will get that pop off of the ground. We did a video you can check out right here about that exact technique. I suggest you practice all of those, but honestly, great stuff. Love the body position. You're doing awesome, man. This is a really, really good start. The next one we have Duran Garten on a beta doing a little Riverbed section. Let's watch. All right. Up through the gap there. Yeah. Okay. High RPM there. Kind of working his way through. Yeah, so that initial bit there, great, good balance coming in, good momentum. Something I'm seeing that will help you a lot. Trying to make sure that your dab is for a correction and balance and nothing more. And if you notice here, as soon as you put your foot down on top of the rock, you de-weight your right peg, and that kind of slows your movement and really makes it so you break traction. You're kind of depending on that rock, where as if you focus on pressing through that peg the entire time, it will make a significant difference in your momentum and tractable control coming through. I would look at, trying to get that section all in one, really keeping the feet on the pegs as long as you can. Again, when you dab, only dabbing for that correction and balance, but always maintaining pressure on the outside. Tell you, it does take a little bit of coordination to do that. Learning how to kind of dance on the pegs back and forth is a key piece in sections like this. Now, up at the top, I would really focus on low RPM, and in those situations, I would almost practice holding the bike in a wheelie. And we've spoke about this before. You're maximizing the pressure on the rear tire and practicing, clutch control drills on an incline. Learning how to hold that bike in a wheelie at all times. If you can hold the bike in a wheelie at low RPM, you're then going to have the ability to maximize traction, maximize pressure on that rear tire and get through these slick sections. Pretty solid, man. Again, focus on your balance. Focus on dabbing only for a correction and balance and nothing more. When you dab, maintain pressure on the opposing peg to keep the pressure on the rear tire. And then I would practice that clutch control on that way out. I mean, almost riding the bike in a wheelie the whole way. I know that sounds kind of gnarly, but if you practice it on an incline, you'll see how it pertains to slick sections just like this. Good video, man. Keep at it. I love seeing it. Let's move forward. All right, so now we've got Gordon sent me this video. He was doing some splatters. Now, Gordon is, I think, 72 years old, which I gotta say, man, I hope I'm riding at 72. That is absolutely incredible. And actually riding at a pretty dang high level, man. Looking awesome. He sent me, he wanted to learn a little bit about splatter. So I'm watching these videos here. And a splatter, you go directly to the rear tire. So it's almost like you're kind of going for that jap zap, and you see the slow motion here, which we spoke about in the last episode. You got a little bit of lift there. I like what I'm seeing. A harder hit on the front tire will get more suspension compression and rebound. On the one where you actually got a good amount of lift, I would say harder hit on the front tire and a serious focus on going forward on the machine. If you notice, you're almost coming back with your head after you get that suspension compression and rebound. And that's almost taking away from your bounce off of the ground, right? So I would say focus on that front tire placement, getting more suspension compression, driving through the obstacle, maximizing every bit of weight to the tire, then unloading everything simultaneously and almost I mean, you could lift your heels and get your head forward more. That will allow that bike. You're almost trying to put your body where the bike is going to be up the obstacle. Getting that forward movement instead of backwards movement, which we kind of saw your head kind of come back, is going to be key. Now, this last one here, again, this is almost more of a jab zap technique. If you're going for a splatter, creating a little bit of that load of power beforehand and really focusing on going directly to the rear tire. A splatter is a pretty scary technique. You're missing the front completely and you're going directly to rear tire. When you miss the front completely, it takes that commitment to get the bike straight up into the air. So in this situation, you're kind of doing a jab zap with a little helper, which is totally a fine practice. If you're doing that, focus on getting that body weight forward and really driving that front tire into the obstacle. If you're going for the splatter, focusing on going directly to the rear tire, putting that bike straight up into the air is going to be key for your approach. Big load of power is the toughest part. We did some loading the flywheel drills, and I would say that would be a good place to start. Getting comfortable, creating that load, and then reducing and releasing. There's a great splatter technique video I did. You can check that one out right here. In fact, it was the same video. Even talking about the loading the flywheel technique, check that one out as well. That will help you get that confidence to put the power down to get the bike straight up into the air. All right, we got one more video here. This one is from Ryan Dwayne or Ryan Don. This is a KTM splatter on a tire. Let's watch it. Okay, so a couple things here. First, I will say, I think if you're going for the splatter, we are still touching that front tire. So you've got to clear the front tire completely and go directly to rear. That's going to allow you to get the bike steeper into the air. The steeper the bike is, the easier it's going to be for you to hold pressure over the top, hold traction over the top. The slower the front tire is going to drop. So committing to getting that front tire straight up in the air and missing it completely on the obstacle is going to be the first step. Now, I will say probably lifting it about a foot earlier will help you. If you've got a little bit of a divot there, I would kick that out and practice getting the front tire up about a foot earlier. That's going to give you more space to get the front tire straight up into the air. It's also going to give you a little more space to get that suspension compression and rebound off of the ground. That's a key piece to a splatter with no kicker. Learning how to first get the high load of RPM. You can hear it's a little bit on the lower side. I would get the RPMs up a little bit more. I'll also say suspension compression and rebound timing with the throttle and clutch release is going to be key to get the lift off the ground. To do it with no kicker is very challenging. It took me a long time to learn that. And the way I did that was first be comfortable with RPM. Second, really learn the timing between suspension compression, rebound, and throttle and clutch. You have to get that load simultaneous with the full weight to the ground and then an unload of suspension and an unload of throttle and clutch together to get that bike straight up into the air, off the ground, into the obstacle. Earlier lift would help you a lot on this. More suspension compression and rebound with body position to really get that pop. I would say, that's a great obstacle to practice on. Set up a big rock. Practice getting the pop. Then make the rock a little smaller. Practice getting the pop. Smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until you can do it straight off of the ground. And that's what it takes. It's repetitions, it's practice, it's learning timing between everything. We're learning efficiency on the motorcycle, using everything together to maximize our control. And you can see how everything is related. It doesn't matter if you're hitting a matrix section, if you're trying to splatter an obstacle, if you're doing the unstuck technique, all of this stuff is related. It takes a lot of practice, but I love the fact that guys are out there filming themselves, working, trying to get better. I hope that these techniques resonate with you. I hope that you guys are enjoying this stuff. Send me your videos. I want to help you. This is like getting a free lesson and your chance to be on the IRC Moto YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for the support. This has been a lot of fun. We'll have another technique breakdown. As long as you guys keep sending me your viewer submissions, we'll have another viewer submission video coming out next week. I enjoy this stuff. This is fun breaking it down, and until I'm healed, I'm going to keep doing it. So this is your chance. Thank you guys for the support. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at IRC Moto, my personal Instagram page at RichLarsen511. Send me those videos, Facebook and Instagram. And until next time, Keep shredding.